Hello guys, LukeJ speaking. Welcome to episode 30 of book reviews, and today we read you chapter 8 of Priceless Memories. Now, before we begin this episode, you are thinking, what happened to episode 56 of LJP /quote vlogs? Well, it turns to me that I couldn't be able to finish it in time. So without further ado, let's read you chapter 8 of the book right now, shall we? See what we got for us. And that is called, let me tell you of dogs, cats, rabbits, and ducks, okay? For as long as I remember, I always loved animals and have lived with them all my life. Along with my part by spraying newer sign-offs on The Price is Right, okay? On my animal rights protest, okay? I always had a special bond with numbers of four-legged and sometimes two-legged friends, okay? There's no doubt that the roots of my passionate feeling about animals began in those friendships, okay? Makes some more sense anyway. And because they have been important parts of my life, I wanted to share some of these friendships with you, okay? But honestly, I have no memory of this relationship, okay? My mother showed me a photograph of me when I was at the age of 2 or 3, and told me that I have a dog and I need named Bo, okay? Who looked happy. Next page. Anyway, in the picture, let's see what page we're on in a moment. Hold on. Okay. Up to 160. There we go. My grandmother had a farm in Houston, Missouri. Why I did not know that? But anyway, and I was living there with my mother, father, and Bo. At the time when the Bo was shot, okay? When I was 6, soon after my father died, my neighbor gave me a puppy, Wildcat. I asked my mother if it would be alright if I named him Barney. Kind of like Barney the Dinosaur difference. Which is a nickname many people would give my father. Okay. She said yes, I would think that they will love that. Okay, makes sense anyway. When Mom and I left Missouri for Mission, South Dakota, when she teach Barney, went us on a train. Okay. In Mission, when my mother was looking for me, she would go up from the roof of hotels when we were living temporarily and look up for the pack of dogs. Excuse me. Okay, anyway. They always have with me. Okay? That's how I check on Barney as well. I usually spy him out on the prairie of the edge of the town. Okay? Kabari with his canny compassion, someone that haven't announced it. Sorry. Barney loved life and mission, okay? Not too many years after I started hosting The Price is Right, I committed a dog in the most unusual manner. The front doorbell rang, and I went to the door. When I opened it, there was a young lady standing there holding a puppy in her arms. Just a baby dog. Wow. She said, I'm going home, back to Tennessee, flying, and I can't take my little dog with me. Wow. It's so young that wouldn't take it on the airplane. Where are you going to do it? I asked her. Going to give it to you. And she handed me the doll. I'm absolutely astonished. All I can say was, okay. I've never seen a girl before in my life. I always never seen her since. Wow, okay. But she shared me this baby dog. Yes, please. It was underweight. The first thing I did take it to the veterinarian. I asked him, "What kind of dog do you think this is?" It's probably a Chihuahua. Watches my Libby and Dad, especially the Guns, who is a huge fan of Chihuahua, who's not getting along with Frog, the Bull Terrier. This for you. Anyway, he said we name him Luke, okay? And she was with Darby Joe and me for many years, okay? As Luke began to grow, and she did grow considerably larger, it became a part of, she was more likely a part with it, okay? It made Greyhound. Wow, okay. After a few months, I took her back to the same vet and said, "Here's that Chihuahua that you identified for me." And she was a puppy. She was, when she was a puppy, excuse me. Anyway, he looked at her and scratched his head and admitted, "Bob, I really missed on that one." She actually grew so large that several times she jumped the 6-foot fence behind my pole. Excuse me. Okay, anyway, she was grateful and beautiful on her to watch. She bounded across the yard. She looked like a Chinese version of Bambi. Wow. Yeah, that Bambi at Focal Pop, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, another time Dorothy Joe found a pair of little kittens in the brown paper bag in front of our house. Whoever left them at our door probably knew that we love animals. She brought them in the house and showed them to me. "Are they darling?" she said. And I said, "Sure they are. I see that I can't find them home without with someone. The price is right." "Good enough." She said, "Too late. They already have one at home right there." They live with us from then on. Darby Joe named them Gail and Thomas. Okay. There's the time when we gave all the animals Spanish names, because we live in an old Spanish house. One morning early, Darby Joe went out to get the paper, and then there's Carlos. He was a one-legged German Shepherd mix. He wasn't next page. Anyway, a puppy, but he was a young dog. Soon we discovered that he had seizures. Wow. Which may have been why someone established or something like that. Something like that. I don't know. When he felt like a seizure coming on, which my brain had seizures many times. Anyway, he would go to Darby Joe. He loved Darby Joe. So he had a little desk and a security utility room, something like that, which he used to sit. He used to put his head on her lap, when she was riding. While she was riding by that. She saved his life, and he never forgot it. The first few weeks, he wouldn't leave her side. He followed her all over the house. We started to have a seizure. He came up to her, and she would have held him, something like that. We have Carlos, that little girl, deliver Lope, something like that, to us. Carlos loved Lope from day one. And he never had another seizure after she arrived. It was a totally inexplicable and totally fascinating. Carlos having those seizures regularly till Lope came to his life. After he already had her take care of something like that, he never had another seizure. The veterinarian have no explanation of why that such should have happened. Carl's unique in the respect. He had to get up on top of the house. I like to talk to him several times about the dangerous his hobby, but it's malicious. It's Mo and Mo's my dad. With the falls. He went up these steps and the priorities my dad walk that runs the range for the house. My dad step up in the low building bitch. Okay, and went up to the roof on the living room. Okay, the roof probably a Spanish home is tile rather steeply slant. Okay. And the title is definitely unsteadily, okay? Steady is my dad. Super, sorry. Anyway, on the foot, okay? Carlos, the free spirit when he was, instead on climbing up in the roof of the living room, sitting on his haunches, and surveying the neighborhood over the 12-foot fence that surrounded our yard. As we look rather grand. Even servants our rooftop, it was become a topic of conversation for our neighbors. Okay, one day calls on the roof and the doorbell rang. I went to the door and found a friendly-looking stranger standing there with a look of the utter amazement on his face. Did you know that there was a dog sitting on your roof? Certainly, I answered. The stranger looking at me warmly and said, okay, I just wanted to be sure you knew he wasn't up there. As he backed away rapidly. On another day, I was lying to chase by the pool, and Carlos was sitting on the roof as usual. Just as I was dozing off, I heard the sound I was dreading, okay? The sound of sliding tiles. I look up just in time to see Carlos slid off the roof and full shout 16 or 17 feet the brick pile, something like that. I jumped to my feet and rushed to Carlos. Sped the war some, got to his feet with non-mall, something like that. And grown a member of a kind. With all the dignity he could muster, he simply walked away. Wow. So the story of the friend, he said, this must have been a stupid dog. You know, I agree, especially the skills, you know. I said, not at all. He never got on the roof again. Many years before Carlos and Luke joined our family, Mr. Baker, our basement cow, was made with Dollface, a lovely, complicated, basic hounded, who was made her home with good friends Charlie and Shrimp Lion. This point allowed me to take a break for this narrative to apologize to my animal wise friends to arrange to have my dog made. It was a long time ago. I know better now. Instead, time after time, to the end of Price is Right. The only way to solve the tragic problem of animal operation to have your pet spray into it. Exactly the end of the show. Now let us continue. Dollface, next space, produce a beauty, healthy litter of puppies. Ethan agreed that Dorothy, Joe, and I would go get our choice of the litter, okay? After all, Mr. Baker has certainly done his part. Dorothy Joe chose a fine little fellow who had already been named Mr. Harbor by Shrimp Lion, okay? Makes sense anyway. When I asked Miss Shrimp she named her Mr. Harbor, Shrimp said he just looked like Mr. Harbor to me. That made sense to me. Perhaps you wonder how Shrimp got her nickname when she and Charlie were in their early dates. Charlie leaned down, kissed her on there and said, "My, you're a real shrimp. Shrimp and ship remain ever after." Mr. Harper grew under splendid of his breed. Okay, as he got older, he lost his hearing. But it was all quite well. But he got, as an old dog, he just couldn't hear. We moved to Chino to our own Hollywood home in 1969. And in the process of moving in, the door left open, and Mr. Harvard decided to go on a walk. And he had been in Hollywood house only for a day or two. And we were terrified, and we figured out what had just happened. We wouldn't realize he was gone, but I was tearing out in the house to find him. Someone told me he had walked up toward La Brea Avenue, a very busy major street. I walked up and down La Brea, east and west of La Brea. I didn't know where he might be, but we have signs printed up, and Darby Joe and I post them every place. And then, it was night, and he was gone in Hollywood. A basis how Owen deaf. I got up early the next morning. Before I went to the studio, I woke up and down street after street. It was gone 2 days or 2 nights part of another day. Went door to door, talking to people, and figuring out how his route. He went south of La Brea, probably when he was by, something like that. And east on Warrenby, he realized he was not in belonging, something like that. It says right on. But he started north of Holland at one time, and his traffic stopped on 4 directions. And his corner of Holland to San Monica, something like that. I talked with people all along the roads of my search. Mr. Harper's problem was with this without right, above, something like that. He was a basic how. He was not friendly to strangers. He was ran to anyone who could call him or tired up to help him. I found people who did. They said he wouldn't come to them. He wouldn't come to near him. As he came up the highway, he would hit the car just south of Franklin, but apparently not badly hurt. But even though he had been in the Hollywood house for only 2 or 3 days, he was headed in the right direction when he went to the church at the corner of Franklin Highway. I was sure that he said a prayer. Makes sense anyway. A kind fellow who lived near the church put a bowl of milk in his front porch for Mr. Harper. The good librarian told me that Mr. Harper, stupid bug. Mr. Harper would come up in his porch till he was rapidly hungry by this time. Why bother this? Why? Came up to the porch, quickly drank the bowl of milk, and headed north. Headed north by the mistake was a mistake. Mr. Harper has gone only 1 more block west, and make his turn north and gone just 1 block. He would have end up right in the front of his new Hollywood home. It's amazing what he was almost accomplished, something like that. It was Mr. Harper ended up 5 or 6 blocks up the hill above our home, something like that. Excuse me, was able to stay on Mr. Harper's trail by regularly going door to door and by talking with passerby in the street. partially every moment I was going to taping, I wasn't taping next page. Anyway, two other consequences. I was searching for Mr. Harbour, but my mother and Darby Joe would go with me, and to so we can cover both sides of the streets with the car. At this time, we were doing two of the consequences in the Marmia building on Sunset Boulevard. Then George Putnam was anchoring the news broadcast for Channel 11 in the same building. I was depressed by this time and was went to George and begging his help. George, I know this is awful, lot to ask with everything going on in the way of the news and everything. You had to do, but I'm trying to find my dog. If you would do something in the news about him, it might help me. He said, I'm glad to do that. I'm astonished that he was responsible to so quickly. I said, will you really? I will really. George, I said, you have no idea what this means to me. He said, maybe I do. He asked me to come around his desk. I was around his desk, and under his desk, his dog was lying at his feet. George Putnam went on the air that night and told the story of the missing Mr. Harbour to my dad. He did that on the most watched broadcast, the 6 o'clock evening news. Wow. After searching again for several hours the next morning, called the Darby Joe from the payphone. When she answered, she was very excited. There was a man up in the hill above who thinks he had our dog. I think I was up on Mr. Harbour's trail, and I was. Those days, traveled behind him. Talked with this gentleman on the telephone, and I said, is he brown or white? And white, someone that's for me. Yes. Does he have scars along the head? Is white, back legs? Someone that's for me. Yes, he does. That's my dog. My heart was pounding, and I went rushing up the hill. Mr. Harbour was on the front porch, and that gentleman was sitting beside him. Mr. Harbour was laying there, just completely worn out by his travels. The kind man was preparing him and comforting him. Mr. Harbour, saw me rail behind, began thumping loudly in the porch. A hero indeed seems the story Mr. Harbour had on George Putnam's newscast. Within an hour, looked out in this window and saw Mr. Harbour sitting dejectedly in the dark driveway. Mr. Harbour had apparently come to terms with the fact that he needed help, allowed the benefactor to take him in. After profusely thanking the gentleman who saved Mr. Harbour's life and to try to successfully get him the war, I tried worry, hungry Mr. Harbour home to reunion with Darby Joe and mother. We were tears and lots of laughter. Makes sense anyway. My only regret that we did have to hit it, Canva. It would have to be perfect for truth. Then I took him out in the yard. He was that he could already make a sound. He'd probably been barking at everyone else. Everything, something like that. I don't know. He and I lay down in the grass to rest. When we heard the dog next door barking, he dragged himself at the feet and made short croaking sounds as loud as he could. It's a frog, something like that. He was back home and get back in charge. After Mr. Harbour settled down for a rest, called George Putnam. You did it. I said Mr. Man had seen the story. Next page. Anyway. Come on, we're moving on to the next page. Not the... Oh, man. Come on, really? Anyway. About my missing dog in the news. When he saw the picture of Mr. Harvard, he knew that he had the right dog. I just got called to thank you from the bottom of my heart. He said, no, you're not through yet. You got to bring that dog down here. And we're going to show the world that what we did. So I told Mr. Harvard down, and we're going to do on the 6 o'clock evening news again. Are you kidding me? Okay. And we told our story. And I got Mr. Harper back, and after 2 days and 2 nights in Hollywood, and heavy traffic over blocks and blocks of strange streets. An old deaf dog, all thanks to George Putnam, who loved animals as well. Story means, which means luck in Spanish, was another little beach mixed breed dog that Dr. Joe and I picked up one night in the restaurant parking lot. The accountant said she had been hanging out around for several days. Gave her water and something to eat for time to time. Darby Joe and I decided to that she should be hanging around her house and become fed a time every time. Hence the name Story. Makes sense anyway. Joan, a completely charming little dog that my mother found on the street, was a mixed breed. He was so mixed that it was impossible to tell why or how many breeds he presented. He had large ears. It came to the point that short legs, long body, and bushy tail. He had all black in color. One day I was sitting in the living room talking with Dick Wallen, director of program for Metro Bishop Media at the time, when Joel come up in the window and look in on us. Dick asked, "What kind of dog is that?" And I said, "He's a young Western Sir Saint Assay," something like that. He said, "What?" I repeated, he's a young Western Saint Assay. They are very rare in this country. Dick said, he looks like a mutt to me. Mutt or Yugoslavia Saint Assay. John was a winner. Okay. In Uruguay, I mean, that was his name, something like that. In Uruguay, something like that. The black Labrador mix, a sweet, gentle dog that compared your heart and sight. One of the nurses, Kathy Birds, who cared for my mother after a stroke, found him in front of her house when she arrived at work. She brought him in, and he decided to stay. He never got out of the bed unless my brother was visiting with us. Benny crawled up on Kent's bed and slept with him. Kent thought that was pretty neat. I wanted to tell you about some of my more recent Canadian compassions. Late one Friday afternoon, okay? Got on the Hollywood freeway and head to Riverside. Spent the weekends with my friend Nancy Burnett. As usual on Friday, traffic was heavy, and I did not arrive in Riverside until after dark. As I drove down the Ray Street near beside a restaurant lot, I saw a body of a dead dog that had been hit by a car. Wow. Okay. Wow. I continued on toward Nancy's house. As I drove, I became concerned about the remote passionately that the dog I had seen might have not been dead, badly injured. When I arrived at Nancy's home, I told her that when I'd been seen and asked her to go back with me and check. When we reached the dog's body and got out of the car, check on it out, we heard another dog growling from some strawberry and a Sebastian bought. The dog on the street was indeed dead. It was a obvious death. Next page, anyway. Come on, there we go. The dog growled at us with a sharply black long-haired terrier mix was tending to body. You didn't have to be Sherlock Holmes to figure out that the two dogs were companions, something like that. One had been killed by another, the automobile, wow. And the other, was protecting his friend. Nancy and I was able to get the dog and the strawberry to come out to us, but he wanted to get my car, something like that. He would not leave the body of his friend. Nancy and I lifted the little body and carefully placed it on the back seat of my car. And promptly, the other dog jumped into my car and beside his friend. It was such a beautiful display of love and loyalty that Nancy and I were both in tears. Conrad's little dog was so bravely protected the body of his friend not wearing a collar. He had no retaliation of any kind. But the days of running the streets of a stray were run over. Moreover, I set a spot that he deserved the very best life that I've ever provided for him. That was exactly what he had for the rest of his life. I named him Frederick. He and I had a picture together that was featured on the poster distributed all around the country during the National Spray or Neuter campaign sponsored on my behalf by CBS. The same picture of Frederick and me because of the most popular fans picture I have during my years on television. People didn't just write for the picture, they wrote and asked for that picture of Federico and Bob. Yeah. Also have wonderful huge black Labrador retriever that named Winston. Winston was not only a huge dog, but a huge character with a huge personality. He appeared at Priceless right to celebrate my 80th birthday. He was a huge success there as well. Everything about Winston was big, including his appetite. He ate more like a horse than a dog. I named him Winston because when he folded his hind legs, sat with his front legs straight up in front of him, from the rear he looked very much of that famous pose of Winston Churchill, something like that. Take him from the back, and as Churchill sat on his easel pane, Nancy Burnett picked Winston up off the streets. She used the old dodge. Okay, please keep him for a few days while I find him a horse, home, something like that. Excuse me. Of course, the idea is that you will become so fond of the dog that you will keep him. I have used a trick myself, and frankly, it worked. Okay? I laughed at Nancy to find an old pro, but I took it in Winston and was happier for it. But also, it isn't all about cats and dogs. I have rabbits as well. Mr. Rabbit and his honey bunny, Mercedes, my house manager, she's behind the housekeeper, found Mr. Rabbit one winter morning, shivering from the cold in the yard of the streets. He was only a baby, but when I couldn't find where he belonged, it became obvious that he belonged with me. I have bought a big screen television set and 2 recliners for what was become a television room. I thought that the room could be temporary home for a new friend. Who I named Mr. Rabbit. Okay? Before I could buy more furniture and decorate what was happened to been a television room, Mr. Rabbit destroyed it. Wow. He tore up the recliners, chewed the wires on the television, chewed holes on the carpet and the curtains. You might say, they decorated the room more than his tastes. Knowing that I didn't really need a television room, that Mr. Rabbit was. Next page. Anyway, thoroughly enjoying himself. I just let him have all at it. A man had as his poverty, something like that. I just didn't want Mr. Rabbit to be lonely. But so I went to the rescue group and found a little black female friend for him. It seems that Roger, since he was white, adopted her for calling her Honey Bunny. Folks warned me there were 2 rabbits that might get along as well as first. That might require a period of adjustment. Not so it was love at first sight. Makes sense anyway. Somehow Mr. Rabbit broke his leg a few months ago. As I'm writing this book about it. During his rehabilitation, he hadn't kept a coil to retreat his movements. Honey Bunny assured to stay in the coil for Mr. Rabbit and nursing him. And she would come out of the coil and romp along occasionally. And then she'd go the coil and romp along occasionally, and then she'd go back in the gate and wait for the to be open so she can get back on Dewey, Mr. Rabbit's nurse. Mr. Rabbit and Miss Honey Bunny are a darling couple. The lovely house manager, Mercedes, adores Mr. Rabbit and his Honey Bunny. She does everything possible to ensure that they're a healthy and happy couple. She is sure that they have every toy a rabbit might like. Stools and a couch and to jump up on, some of that. She even served a barrel for them. If you step into the room, you would assume that sort of disaster had occurred. Not so. It is a Mercedes created rabbit heaven. Makes sense anyway. Dolls, which means sweet in Spanish, the color cat. Okay? Who came in the yard one day, meowed her way into my heart. Dolls was almost 10 years old, and Mr. Rabbit came to live with us. Before I adopted Honey Bunny, Dolls will go into Mr. Rabbit's room and groom him and just hang out. Even if Mr. Rabbit became too dangerous in his play, Dolls never scratched and bit him. Wow. Dolls would just lift a paw and gently push him away. Wow. Winston liked to visit Mr. Rabbit's room as well. Mr. Rabbit would stand on his legs and examine Winston's large ears. Okay. It was always very casual, but I made a point that to be right beside him anytime Winston visited Mr. Rabbit. Now, for a short time, I didn't have a dog live with me, which was unusual, something like that. At the time, my brother Kent went on to the animal shelter Valley once a week. Took pictures of dogs and put them on the internet. Try to help them get their homes. Install a sweet mix, a golden receiver, which I'll talk about in the video. Anyway, a child named Jessie, okay, out there, looking like Jessie from Toy Story, something like that. Anyway, that day, I told him that I have several trips coming up, and Dad didn't want to get a dog at that point. He let it drop for a few days. Then sadly, that this dog hadn't been adopted in this shelter. What happened, realized her that really had kept for longer. They usually kept besides because she was a great dog. But it's getting close. Finally, a few days later, he said, "The time has come. You're gonna have to cut him off. Alright, bring Jessie to my house." Okay? That night he could show up with Jessie. She didn't immediately check out the yard, look up the house over, and made herself at home. Right from the beginning, she won the hearts of all of my friends and visitors. She's very friendly with people, but next page. Anyway, other dogs were a different story. That she was one more aggressive of other dogs. The only dog I ever had. The first time we took a walk and she saw a dog half a block away. Bark wildly. Wow. Okay. When she was actually got near another dog, she reared on her hind feet like a skeleton. Wow. Pulled against the leash and pawing on the air. Stopped me on the really aggressive she was. The child breed is very progressive, something like that. I pronounced this word. Sorry, precise, something like that. Anyway, very protective. Especially she was fighting the other dogs was going to attack me. Wow. She seems to be trying to protect me. She has been trained to sit, and I took advantage of that. When another dog approached it, I told her to sit, then forcibly retrained her. Well, yeah, I am anyway. Okay, where was I? Yes, when another dog went on this way, I said, "Good girl," something like that. I gave her a cookie. In a short time, Jessie was so much impressed. Proof, okay. Okay, makes sense anyway. Okay. That makes sense anyway. In a short time, Jessie was so much, proved that I would have to switch from cookies to tiny treats, okay? Just lose her goldfish bigger, okay? Goldfish bigger, okay? Jessie have trained me very well. Now I have to take a pocket full of treats with me on a walk. When we met a dog and she behaves, she gets a treat. Occasionally, when she doesn't behave herself, she look up at the treat and I'll say no. She bright enough to figure this all out. Another story involving Jessie began when I was like a scene out of a Lassie movie, okay? I let Jessie out one morning and sat down to eat breakfast. And in a matter of moments, Jessie burst back into the breakfast room, and the expression of her face and plainly said, "I have seen something more usual. Please follow me and see for yourself." Okay? I followed her into yards, out in the yards, but was not very surprised to find two mallards, a male and a female, swimming slowly about in the pool. Anyway, in the past years, we went to when they were migrating and like that. ducks had landed into a pool to rest. I explained that this was to Jessie and assured her that the ducks would leave soon. I was wrong. The ducks stayed, built a nest out of the way behind the pool, and the mother duck laid 12 eggs. That's right, an even dozen for the next 3 months. Mercedes and I were busy. Busy. And I temporarily fence installed to present the mother duck and her babies to Jessie. The father duck had already taken a few bows and split. He did return home free of the 4 times during the 3 months. But apparently he was satisfied with what Mercedes and I were doing when he was never hung around long. Mercedes and I had a crash course in duck care and feed. My pool man quit. I hired another pool man and he quit as well. I hired a third pool man and he stuck it out. He said my pool man forever. Mornings and late afternoons, Mercedes laid out a veritable buffet for the duck family. Corn mash, bread, chopped lettuce, and the works. Okay? I'll never forget the day Mercedes shouted, Mr. Barker, come quick. There were all 12 baby ducks lined up on the edge of the pool. The mother duck was in the pool with, you knew when she was quacking. Come on down, the water's fine. Gradually, one of the two of the at the time, the babies jumped in and swam the first time. It was a cautionary moment for the duck family, for Mercedes, and certainly for me. I was also happy to see that the 3 little ramps we had installed on the edge of the pool allow the ducklings to waddle safely up in the pool back in the nest. Okay. The first swimming lesson was matched only by a thrill Mercedes and I felt when she was with baby ducks. Okay, we saw the baby ducks flying a few feet above the water. Next, the baby ducks were able to take short flights. Okay. First in the yard, then across around the neighborhood. Next page. This might be the last page, and I'll do wrap things up with this episode. Anyway, finally they were ready to move on their lives. Just as they first jumped in the pool, they flew away, 1 or 2 at a time, and the wonderful mother duck stayed for 2 days. To be sure all the babies had made it, and she flew away as well. Anyway, having the ducks visit a very beautiful experience. One for what I'm generously grateful about. However, when the beautiful experience we concluded, had a pool drain, properly cleaned, and painted, and stained the new pool floor. That was chapter 8 of this book. I think about the next chapter I'm going to read is what's right about the Priceless Right. So, there you go. That'll be in the next episode. And that was successful so far for chapter 8. There you go. That was the book reviews episode 30. Hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned for the next one. It's going to be Bedtime Stories episode number 382, which will be about Spider-Man Dark Webs. Till next time, so John's Bob, so baby, you can move this episode, so say out. See ya.